Hi, and welcome to That Board Game Show, a podcast all about tabletop gaming with two players. I'm Sonja Wood.
And I'm James Wood. And today, on this 27th episode, we're talking to you about Tiny Epic Defenders, a fully cooperative game for 1 to 4 players, designed by Scott Almes and published by Gamelyn Games. So in the game, the general idea is you've got like a central city card, and you, the players, are playing the defenders of that city. So it's actually kind of a spiritual successor to Tiny Epic Kingdoms, where you are playing as warring factions fighting each other. And so now in Defenders, you're playing as those different factions have come together and they've built a new capital city. And now all of a sudden they're being attacked by monsters from every corner of the globe. So the players are taking on the role of defenders, and each player will have a special defender card, which gives you special abilities, and you're going to use your defender to run around the map and defend the different outer regions. There are 6 outer regions that you have to move between, and you've got this deck of cards that represents the turn deck. So each turn you're going to flip over a card, and that card will tell you whose turn it is, instead of, a typical consistent clockwise turn structure. This turn deck tells you, okay, it's the blue player's turn, it's the red player's turn, it's the enemy's turn, and enemies will be pouring in and attacking regions, and you'll be running around defending those regions. And then once you've held out and defended against enough enemies, you've got a certain number of enemies that you have to survive against, depending on the number of players. You then have to face off against the epic foe, who is some big bad dragon or sentient tree or some such weird thing that will then show up in a specific region, and then you have to defeat the epic foe in order to win the game.
And we've played it a few times now.
Yeah.
And it's cooperative. It's
fully
a cooperative
co-op
game, which, of course, my favorite. I love cooperative games.
And I've done a one-player how-to-play tutorial type playthrough video on the YouTube channel, That Board Game Show YouTube channel, showing you the game in action and how it plays solo, which is basically identical to how it plays 2-player, because playing solo, you just control 2 characters.
Okay. Well, I'm actually just going to recommend, because I'm going to recommend that people go watch that, because then they know all about what we're talking about. And today we can just talk to them about our experience playing it cooperatively with the 2 of us. The thing about the videos is they're very clear and concise, and it's not just me, your mother, that thinks they're so amazing, because other people are commenting and saying they're very clear and they're very helpful. So let us not spend too much time on the podcast talking about what the game is and how to play it and everything else, because people can go and watch the video. That would be just fantastic, because I don't think they can be disappointed.
Yeah, but they can't watch a video while driving. So
True. So, okay, we've told them a little bit about the game, and if we've piqued your interest, you can go watch the video. In case you listen
if you want to see it in action, then
yes, please don't watch the video while driving.
No.
It's not recommended. I like to always tell the story behind the game. And so we got this game when we went down to the Cape, because we're in South Africa, and we did a road trip down to the Cape, and we met with the person who distributes these games. And we were very excited because we had this long road trip ahead of us. And so we couldn't wait to get to our next destination so we could get our next tiny epic on the table, because we got a few tiny epics, didn't we?
Yeah, we bought like 4 or 5 or something of them.
And so we arrive at this one place, and there's this huge, giant table for like 12 people. And we thought, okay, that'll be big enough for our little tiny epic game. When you're traveling, you never know what size table you're going to have to play the game on. But this particular instance, I think we've even got some photos of that. We'll probably put that onto Patreon maybe. Oh, about that, you know what? People who are listening could actually join the TBGS Patreon if they wanted to see behind-the-scenes stuff. Is that correct?
Yeah, we got behind-the-scenes videos and showing you the behind the studio and how we set up for the videos and all that kind of jazz.
And can you put some photos on that Patreon page?
Yeah.
Okay, so put the photos of our giant table playing Tiny Epic Defenders. And so we were thrilled when we found a nice big table, much bigger than we needed it to be, but even so, it's better than it being too small.
Although sometimes these tiny epic games aren't so tiny once you pull them out the box and spread them all over the table.
No, they're not. But the actual, the whole design of these games just impresses me no end. I am so impressed. It literally blows my mind when I see what they've done in this tiny little box. You take it out and you don't expect to find ships and what was that one that was?
That's Tiny Epic Pirates.
Tiny
It
Epic
has the
Pirates.
little pirate ships and...
It's absolutely impressive. It's, as you say, you need more space than what you realize when you take all the bits out the little tiny box. So we enjoyed Tiny Epic Defenders. I enjoyed it from the very, very first play. I'm not a fan of every Tiny Epic game, but this one
You can't love them all.
Yeah, this one is one of my favorite Tiny Epic games. We've got quite a lot of them, and I think this must be my favorite one. Although we don't do the whole review thing and everything else. We leave that up to people to decide because everybody's got their own personal preferences. And
yeah, I like to keep that board game show content more neutral.
Neutral, yeah.
So people can listen, watch, hear all about the game and then decide for yourself whether it's something that you will like or not.
So your YouTube channel, you do explainer videos, not review videos.
Explainers, playthroughs, overviews, that kind of thing to give a concise explanation and show everything in the game and then allow the viewer to decide from that if that's a game for them or not.
Correct. Well, it was a game for me because I enjoyed it. Did you enjoy Tiny Epic? And you played it solo and cooperative.
Yeah. So again, like I said, the solo mode is basically the same as playing it two-player co-op. I don't think we've ever played it with more than two. I think only we've ever played it. We haven't played it with the group yet.
That
might be a good one to pull out today.
No, that's why we call this podcast channel a podcast all about tabletop gaming with two players.
Two players.
And you know why? That's because I'm the mother and James is the son, and we
play games.
Yeah, we play games, the two of us. Greg, my husband, Jamie's father, he's not a big tabletop gaming person.
He does not play games.
No, he does when we twist his
duress.
arm around behind his back and say, sit down. No, yeah, he's not, that's not his thing. So that's why we respect and appreciate it. It's not everybody's thing.
Mm-hmm.
But for us, it is our hobby. We are tabletop gaming hobbyists.
Mm-hmm.
And we went down
I don't think we'd be recording a podcast about board games if we weren't.
Yeah, true. So I have enjoyed that game. I mean, today we're talking about Tiny Epic Defenders. What we want to do on this podcast channel is just talk about the game that is current.
Yeah. Well, basically whatever game. So the video for that has just gone up on the YouTube channel. So we're going to start going forward for as long as we feel like.
Or we can. Yeah.
Doing a podcast basically following on from whatever video has just gone up. So if you see a video pop up on the YouTube channel, then you can expect a podcast discussing that game further in the future.
Next couple of weeks.
Yeah.
So tell me what's the next video? What's the next video that's going up?
Next video going up. So this is going up on Friday the something.
26th of January.
26th, that one. 2023. So
no, it's 2024.
2024. I'm living in the past.
Yeah.
So this podcast going live on the 26th of January 2024.
Yes. Right, you've arrived in the right year. Yeah.
On whatever the Friday after that is going to be Pandemic the Cure, which is hosted and played and performed by Simon Reed, doing one of his Read the Card episodes.
On that Board Game Show YouTube channel.
On that Board Game Show YouTube channel.
Simon has only done a few videos so far, but we hope you will agree when you go and watch his video that he is quite entertaining, and we rather enjoy doing the Simon videos. So we're hoping for more of his videos.
Yeah,
so now what will happen?
We are planning to do more with him.
Yes.
But life may get in the way. We shall see.
We're planning on that. And what we hope to do is after we've done a video with him and you're busy with the edit, we then will talk about that game. And even if we haven't played it, but I think we're going to have to play it actually.
We have played Pandemic the Cure.
No, yes, we have. I'm going to ask Simon to bring it again because we don't have our own copy.
No, he brought his copy up and he did the video, and I think, we just played it once.
But I so enjoyed it. I was surprised by that game.
Well, that's a peak for the next episode.
Yes, okay, let's not talk about it yet.
I'll save Pandemic the Cure chat for the next episode of that Board Game
20,
Show podcast.
Whichever,
28.
Number 20
will be the next one.
Will be the next one. Okay. But let's talk a little bit about how we feel about two-player gaming versus group and all the rest of it. My preference is the two of us playing. I suppose that's just familiarity, and we've been doing it for so long, and we're just used to each other.
Yeah, we know how to play well off each other and not rub each other up the wrong way and all those things.
To give you an example of why it works well is that Jamie is the absolute rules guy, and I'm just not. And so I'm constantly questioning, why do we have to do that? And so his phrase is?
Because it's the rule.
Yeah. And I go, no. And he goes, I said, no, why? We can't. No, let's do it this way. And he goes,
because the rule book says.
Because the rule book says. And so
I'm a stickler for the rules.
And I actually appreciate the fact that that's what you do. I know you keep us on track regarding the rules, because it's actually not nice to play an entire game and do something wrong with it. And you think, why was that so difficult? Or it was so easy. And meantime, you got some rule wrong that made it one way or the other that it shouldn't have been.
Which leads into the topic of house rules and my tremendous aversion to them, because typically what happens in my experience, what happens with house rule in a game is if you play it enough with that house rule, that then becomes the rule. And now when you share it with other people, you share your version of the game, not the original version of the game, and then it just all starts getting murky. So if you can keep it as like a variant that you know is a variant and you agree that's, how we play, that's one thing.
Well, I can tell a little story about that, and it's about the game Meadow, because what happened with that is the guy who told us about the game told us that when we go to the campfire, you have to tell a story. And I just love that part of games, the theme, the story behind, that's my thing. So Jamie's the rules guy, and I'm the thematic person, right? So he enjoys me bringing out the theme because he sometimes forgets about the theme. And I enjoy him reminding me of the rules because I forget about the rules. So it just works. But with this particular game, Meadow, this guy, Gavin, he was telling us about the game and told us we had to tell a story when we went to the campfire. And my whole game was about getting to the campfire to tell the story. And then we showed some other people the game, and we told them when you get to the campfire, you must tell the story. And then they told the other people, and so it went on. Turns out that it's
I read the rule book.
Yes. Turns out that Jamie reads the rule book and he goes, there's nowhere in the rule book that we tell a story when we get to the campfire. And here we've been telling all the people that this is how this game plays. I'm not sorry, because I think it's fantastic. It's a fantastic addition. I think there's the difference. If you don't
changing the rules,
you're adding something.
It's not breaking the game or changing the game. It's just, that's just adding a little bit of thematic flair.
Yeah.
That wasn't otherwise there. Or maybe it was there, but it was like hinted at, whereas Gavin presented it as, this is the rule. You must tell a story.
Thanks, Gavin. No, it really made the game for me. So I was really glad for that. So as you can hear, I really bring out the theme. So when we were playing Tiny Epic Defenders, I was thinking all the time about the different areas we were going to, and the ocean and the forest. And we were actually sitting looking at the ocean. That's the unit we were in when we were playing this game. And then when we continued our journey, the next stop was in the forest. So I was thinking, oh, look, this is really getting very thematic. Our game is fitting in with where we're going. So I enjoy that. But it doesn't really make all that much difference to you, does it?
Not particularly. I mean, I like theme and I like art. I like games to be pretty, for sure. So I think that's one of the things I really enjoy about a game is if it's got a very impressive table presence or lovely art or whatever. But I would say gameplay mechanisms trump that for me. So it typically will happen that even if it's got really pretty art and a really nice theme, all of that slowly dissipates and disappears into the background while I see the matrix.
And me, I see the theme and I forget about the rules. And Simon, whom we hope you will meet on watching some of his videos.
Well, you can meet him right now if you're not driving.
Oh, yeah, because they can go and watch one of his videos. Yeah, okay. But he is a theme guy as well. And him and I have these conversations about, we should take this game to wherever. The game that suddenly comes to mind is Spirits of the Rice Paddy, which doesn't quite work because we don't have rice paddies here in South Africa. But anyway.
Fly to China to do that one.
Yeah, let's do that. Let's fly to China.
Or Indonesia. I think it's actually set in Indonesia.
Is it?
Yeah.
Oh, you see, he knows the rule book. Well, you're not certain, you think. Then you're going to go and check
I'm fairly certain. Now I need to go check.
Yeah. Anyway, that is what Simon and I talk about. We should take this game and take it to this place and put it there and play it in this sort of setting. We don't do that often, but it so happened that our Tiny Epic Defenders game worked for me very well because we were going from scenario to scenario or location to location.
Yeah. They're on scenarios in the game?
No, not scenarios. Yeah, wrong word. Yeah. We were going from two different locations while we were traveling, and they were tying in nicely with the game. So,
yeah, the game has basically pretty universal locations. So the different regions that you're going to are like the coast, the forest, the desert, the ruins. There's another one that I can't think of, mountains. So it's like just these representing all the major landscape types.
It's really lovely. You talk about the different landscapes, and that's another thing about Tiny Epic Defenders that I enjoyed is the artwork. Because the art is really nice. They got quite nice sized cards.
Yeah, they're sort of like, if you take two standard playing cards side by side, is the sort of size they are. Yeah.
And they're lovely to look at. So
it's got really cool item meeples, which is a Gamelyn Games trademark thing.
Yes.
Where you've got they're like extra big plastic meeples. And they've got little holes in their hands. And you can, as you running around and defeating monsters and things, you're going to pick up relics, items, artifacts. Artifacts, I think they're called.
You can pick it up and push the little potion, tiny little plastic potion bottle into the little hole on the meeple guy.
Yep.
But they can see that on the video.
And then your little meeple runs around carrying the actual thing instead of just having a card on the table.
Yeah. So I get lost in that, and I was like, "Ooh, I want to have some wings on my back with my little meeple," and so I'll go after the wings. But as you've heard, I get lost in the theme and forget about actually conquering and making sure that we beat this game. Some people, it's all about the winning the game, and they'll identify with that. For me, it's just about the pleasure of being at the table and playing the game and being immersed in the theme and the art and all of that. So it's nice that there's a variety of different kinds of people, personalities. Yeah. That's what makes this hobby so interesting to me, is that you just get to know different types of people at the table. That's something we could talk so much about, because we have really come to know people differently because of board gaming. Tabletop board gaming specifically.
Yeah, you get to know elements of somebody that you wouldn't otherwise, just in general small talk and
sitting around having a meal or whatever. Yeah, we played this game. We've got some people that live nearby. And when they come over to play the game, they warn us that they're extremely competitive. So we say, okay, well, let's not play the competitive games, because the competitive spirit in them just overrides everything. So it's just interesting. You wouldn't have known that about that person until you sat down to play a game. But you know what I'm going to do now? I am going to go and put the kettle on, because it's tea time. So I'm going to say bye for now, and I'm going to look forward to talking about Pandemic the Cure in our next podcast. Bye.
And if you'd like to continue enjoying the show on a deeper level, you can head over to our Patreon page, patreon.com/thatboardgameshow, or become a channel member on our YouTube channel and gain access to a whole bunch of behind-the-scenes content, bonus episodes, all that sort of thing. And mainly what that is doing is that's just supporting us to keep this content coming and keep it fresh. And with that, I shall say thank you ever so much for listening, and I hope you enjoyed the show.